Attention denizens of planet Earth.
Broadcasting from Carbondale in Southern Illinois' premier comic shop. And now your host, superlative shaman of comic book knowledge, Dan Brown. Flash the match signal in case of emergency for your host with the most on his mind, Matt Morton. Watch out, criminals. There's nothing funny to him about truth, justice, and the American way. It's Commander Harris himself, Scott Reed. And tuning in from the far reaches of no man's land, the mad scientist dream leader, Mike Ho. This is Campus Comics Cast.
Hey, welcome to the latest episode of the Campus Comics Cast. This is Dan Brown, and I'm joined by
Scott Reed.
And just kind of wanted to let everybody know what was going on. We haven't done an episode for a few weeks. There's been a lot going on with everybody. You know, I think it's pretty understandable. The store hasn't been open. But, you know, we're going to, just so everybody knows, we're going to reopen on this Saturday, May 30th. And we'll have the following Saturday, June 5th, will be sort of the grand reopening for the shopping center that the store is located in. And so we're going to have a lot of sales and things going on then, so be sure to come in. We've got new books coming in, and we're going to have a lot of sales during the grand reopening and everything, so be sure you to come in and check everything out. You know.
Do you know what any of the sales are going to be yet, or has Mike not decided yet?
I know there's going to be some of the trades and hardcover sales like we've done before. I think there's supposed to be some back issue sales and some other things. There's going to be like several things going on.
Okay.
So.
Good deal.
Just kind of getting back to the swing of things with the store.
Okay. That makes sense to me. I'm looking forward to get back in the shop because I know that there's been a lot of work done and that I haven't really got to see it other than a couple of pictures that were posted on Facebook.
Yeah, so there's been some remodeling going on. We've kind of reorganized things a little better. Hopefully, kind of open up the store a little bit too. So hopefully, you know, better experience for everybody. Mike's repainted the front of the store, so it looks not that gross green that we've had for so many years. The landlord finally let us do something cool. So definitely want to come in and check all that out.
Yeah, or at a minimum, go to Facebook and like the Campus Comics page and look at the pictures that are posted there to see what's going on as well. So.
Yeah, and again, regular books are, coming out. We're getting them in now. It's been a whole thing. I don't know if everyone's been following the news, but the distribution's been pretty crazy lately.
Yep.
With the coronavirus and, publishers shutting down, distributors shutting down, DC going to other distributors. It's been pretty crazy couple months now. It's the first time this has ever happened since I've been collecting comics in my lifetime. Anyway.
Oh yeah, same way. So yeah,
it's probably the biggest thing since direct market started.
Yep, I would definitely agree with that.
So much stuff's been up in the air, but just so everybody knows, we are getting books in again. If you have a pull list, or if you have stuff, that we still have
from prior to
setting. So, and we understand not everybody was probably been able to come in and get their books. It's understandable. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on right now in the world. So, but yeah.
So what are so starting this Saturday, is Mike going to go regular store hours?
I believe so. Yeah. And just so everybody knows, we do have to comply with social distancing, and, we'll need everybody to wear a mask to come into the store and that sort of thing. So it's kind of like what you're doing everywhere else, but we will be, we'll be expecting that at the comic shop too. Just to keep everybody safe. There have been some outbreaks in the area and that kind of thing. So it's not just a hypothetical.
No. And not to put any, pressure on Mike, but Mike has had some health issues in the past. So we really, as people who go to the store, we need to go out of our way to protect him. Right.
Yeah.
So,
for sure.
Yeah. So, so we haven't said this yet. So why don't you remind everybody where the store is located?
The store is at 816 East Main Street, Suite B in Carbondale, Illinois. And it's all red, yellow, and blue now, so you can't miss it.
Well, don't say that because then somebody will miss it. But
yeah.
I don't know. I think I have one or two books that were on the release for like these 2 weeks.
Right.
So I'm definitely going to try to go. Well, heck, I just want to get over there and just see the changes and stuff. So I haven't even driven past it, because I'm an hour away basically.
Right.
So it's not quite as easy for me to jump over there and see it just whenever I get the urge. So
I know we're supposed to be getting a lot of supplies in too. So if you're out of bags of boards, you've been bagging and boarding while you've been home, come get some more.
Yep.
It's a good time to be doing that stuff. I've been doing kind of a lot of that kind of housekeeping kind of stuff around the house since I've been home.
Oh, me too. So, yep.
Cleaning off the action figures and getting new bookcases and trying to make everything more presentable while I'm home all the time.
While you have the time, take advantage of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've been trying not to watch too much TV. So
I've been watching way too much TV. I've been reading though too.
Yeah. So
back issues I've got to read.
Yep, I've read quite a bit myself. So what's the biggest thing you've read, while we've been quarantined?
Well, I'm looking now at about 9 long boxes of back issues I have that I've accumulated. And that's not new stuff as it comes out. This is back issues.
Right.
So I've kind of been going through that, just picking random odds and ends. I finished my run of Vigilante from the 80s.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so I started reading that. And that's a really interesting book because at first glance, it just kind of comes off as DC's Punisher, but it really isn't.
No, I never really took it that way because I think the character has a much different background.
Yeah. And it's just like, I think the second or third issue of his book, he finds out the guy he's going after is innocent.
Oh.
And he really starts to
Spoiler.
question, can I be killing these people? So
yeah.
It takes a weird turn real early on. And
have you read and I haven't read the whole Vigilante series, nor have I. There's also like a Vigilante, was it Southland or something like that?
More recent book.
Yeah, much more recent.
Several miniseries in between and different Vigilante characters and stuff. But this is the 80s Adrian Chase version.
Right. Yeah, I have a large portion, if not the whole run of that series. Maybe that's something I should. So it's good. Should I consider reading it?
Yeah, I think so. It's something
I love the Punisher. So
yeah, it's definitely its own thing. And do you know how the series ends?
I do not.
Okay, then you should read it.
Okay, all right, okay.
It's a pretty notorious end to that book, and
I
heard it years ago.
Okay, well then I'll maybe add that make that a priority to start reading. So maybe we should do it. Maybe we should do an episode, where we talk about that series. That might not be a bad thing to do at some point in the future.
Yeah, it's something I've thought about going more in depth on. Just
okay.
I don't know, on here or a blog or I don't know where, but yeah, that's an interesting book to look at, I think.
Okay. All right. Well, I think I would be in for that. So yeah.
The other thing I've been reading Injustice, the digital comic app by Tom Taylor. The DC Universe app has a rewards program going this summer, where if you read or watch stuff, you get certain points, and you can trade those in for like rewards they have. Like they've got pins and like statues and things like that you can get, or like download and stuff like that. So pro tip for everybody, I guess. I was looking through you get 15 points for every comic you read, which is the highest thing you can get. Injustice was a digital comic, so it's about half an issue each time, and you can just tear through them. I'm kind of racking up. You can only get, I think the limit you can get is 250 points a week with this program, but I can get through that in about a couple hours.
Right, yeah.
Just reading this book. It's so short. It's good, though. It's worth it. It is something I kind of meant to pick up. But, yeah, I'm kind of just tearing through that right now, too.
Cool. Well, I finally went back and read Strangers in Paradise, just because I liked Rachel Rising is actually where I started on the Terry Moore stuff, and then that was like still my favorite. Went back and previously read Echo, which was okay, and then Motor Girl, which was really, really good, and I thought I really need to go back and do Strangers in Paradise. And to me it's nowhere near as good as Rachel Rising, but it's still pretty solid. But at least now I'm to the point where I can go read, 10 years. Was it 10 years? Is that what it's called? 10 years?
I think so.
Yeah, something like that. 10 years, 5 years, whatever it is. So those are in my to read pile. So I need to, at least I have to make that the first couple of issues of that set aside. So I'm going to definitely take a look at that. And then I'm catching up on Immortal Hulk, which is still really good. And I think next thing, if I don't jump over to Vigilante, will be get caught back up on Captain America. So
Yeah.
that's kind of where I'm heading anyway. So
Back to the Terry Moore stuff real quick. Do you
yeah,
think, is Rachel Rising the best out of the bunch, or do you think it's just that that's what you read first, so that's what you picked?
I think it's the best out of the bunch.
Okay. Because I
Um,
hear, oh, Strangers in Paradise is really kind of the gateway book with him. I always thought that was interesting, the path you took with that.
yeah, well, fortunately, the I guess it is a shared universe, but those characters don't cross. So you can
Oh, is
read
it?
any of those. You can read those standalone.
Right.
Yeah, because all of those, all was it like what? Yeah, 4 series, basically are standalone, and I don't think they get tied together until this whatever. I need to go look 5 years, whatever
Right.
it is that that series, that crossover series is.
Oh, okay.
So because it was what, Strangers in Paradise 25 was a 10 issue series, and then whatever the Terry Moore 5 years is, that's the shared
Right.
universe one. So
Oh,
the
okay.
Moore verse. But yeah, I would strongly if I had to just choose one for somebody to read, Rachel Rising would still definitely be my recommendation. So because it's got that supernatural element to it that the Rachel Rising, or with that Stranger in Paradise, doesn't. So I think that's what I really liked about Rachel Rising.
Okay.
So anything else you want to say about the store before we move on?
Just, come in, check it out, get some books. I know I'm ready for some new comics. I've
Yeah.
got plenty here I'm reading, but there were a lot of books I was reading where I'm like, okay, where's the next issue?
Yeah, no kidding. I mean,
Good stories I was reading right now that have been interrupted. So I'm
like
kind
what was it? Strange Adventures. We only got one issue out, and
and who was it? Oh, I think it was Tom King showed online where he has the second issue because it's like in that shipment that was printed and is sitting with Diamond for so long.
right.
Like, they're ready to go. So
Yeah, I don't think I saw it on the list for the first 2 weeks though.
oh, really?
Yeah, so
That's
hopefully it'll come pretty soon.
Well, that'll be the other thing we're kind of asking here, but just kind of bear with us right now because so much stuff is still changing.
Mm-hmm.
Like there will be, there might be a point where we don't even know what's coming in until we get it for sure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So a lot of schedules are being flipped around. I know, like a lot of those anniversary issues from DC, they're kind of front loading. It looks like those will be coming out pretty quick back to back. It looks like almost.
Okay.
And so there's still a lot of craziness going on right now. Just because we're back open and kind of getting everything in doesn't mean, we're hoping everything goes as smooth as possible.
Right.
But we ask everybody to be realistic about things we can't control.
Yep.
With this, really, and so many industries are affected by this right now.
And I guess Marvel, other than a handful of books, isn't going to have anything new until August. Is that what you're understanding?
I thought I saw June now. I think
Okay.
I don't think it's going to be quite that long, but yeah, I don't think there's anything right away, except for maybe what's sitting with Diamond.
Well, I thought what was sitting with Diamond was what was going to get there in June, and then there were some things that weren't going to. Maybe it's just some things that weren't going to go until August again.
Yeah.
And then of course, I just saw an announcement for some books like Valkyrie, Jane Foster Valkyrie, and they're going to go digital only.
Yeah, and there's DC books like that too that are wrapping up that they're not going to do physical issues up till it gets to trade. It will just be digital only. So yeah, if you're getting some of those books, kind of be aware of that.
Yeah, I think the big bummer for me on that one was the Hawkeye Freefall, because it got all but one issue printed, and the last issue is going to be digital only. It's like that just kind of sucks.
Yeah, that would really upset me. What I've seen, I don't know that any of the books I'm getting, but like that would really be a pain because like I collect comic books.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean? If I have 4 issues of a 5-issue series or something, I'd be really upset about that.
Yeah. This is from Bleeding Cool. They say we reported the announcement that Ant-Man, Star, Ironheart, Ravencroft, Avengers of the Wasteland, Hawkeye Freefall, Ghost Spider, and the Black Cat strikes digital only. And then they suggested in this article, Valkyrie, Scream, Cosmic Ghost Rider are also going to go digital only as well. Yeah. So there are several. Now the only one of those that I think
there are some of those I'm getting that I didn't realize it was that many.
Yeah, I think I'm getting Valkyrie, and I was getting Hawkeye Freefall. So yeah, I think they're the only two of those that are gonna affect me.
There'll be less books I'm buying then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll wait for it to go on sale before I buy it digital because I'm not paying
Well,
$4 for a digital book.
yeah. I mean, and the other side of that too is I already get Marvel Unlimited.
Yeah, there you go. So
I might as well wait at that point.
exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, as far as all I've heard on DC's end is the Terrifics and Supergirl, which both of those series were already supposed to be wrapping up apparently, and so they've just said the last few issues of those will be digital only until they collect them in trades, if they do. It sounded like. But again, I've thought about getting Terrifics a few times.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, well, I'm kind of glad I didn't jump into it now.
Yeah, because I feel like your collection's incomplete.
Yeah. And I was getting Supergirl with those art germ covers for so long.
Right.
And that kind of thing. So, yeah, crazy times.
Yeah. So, well, are we ready to move on to our second topic?
I think so.
Okay, all right. So I'm sure pretty much anybody who would listen to this has heard this already, but HBO Max has announced that they are going to release the Snyder Cut. So the Zack Snyder cut for Justice League is going to be placed on HBO Max. Now I'm pulling some information here from just the website snydercut.com, which is a little bit on the nose, right? But I initially, when I first heard this, I'll definitely watch it. That's not a question for me because I like Zack Snyder. And of course, we can talk about that in a little bit, but I feel like sometimes I'm in the minority about people who like Zack Snyder, but at least among, comic book fans. But the minute I'm going to read this blurb, and it just says, what is Zack Snyder's Justice League? So it says Zack Snyder's Justice League is the original version of the Justice League as written by Chris Terrio and Zack Snyder, despite being rewritten and reshot. Snyder completed principal photography and significant post-production, meaning minimal work, which
we'll get into that.
Yeah, is needed to realize his original vision. So apparently his original vision was a 214-minute movie. So 3.5 hours that was actually cut down to a 2-hour movie. By Joss Whedon, and of course Joss Whedon, because of his ties to the Marvel Cinematic and of course the Whedonverse with Buffy and Firefly, he's fairly, and then he has some, he's done some comic writing as well, so like Astonishing X-Men and such. So, but apparently, if this website is to be believed, it says that Whedon added about 80 new script pages, and that basically they say it's roughly a script page per minute. So as much as, 2/3 of the movie is Whedon as opposed to Snyder. And now this says that original cinematographer Fabian Wagner says only 10% of Zack Snyder's shots were actually in the final version of the movie. So we could be looking at a significant change.
That's a low number from what I've seen.
I do too. That sounds ridiculously low, but yeah. Now it says multiple characters were cut by Whedon, including the big one, Darkseid, Ares, Desaad, Antiope, Ryan Choi, Eleanor Stone, Iris West, and Volko. So and what was it? Variety magazine, I think they actually released an image that of Darkseid. So, and actually, I think there's even like a little video clip now, Darkseid.
Well, I know the actor that played him has come out on social media and says that he played Darkseid, but he couldn't talk about it till now, apparently. I can't remember the guy's name. I think it's basically like a stunt performer or something, probably in a suit or something like that.
Yeah, let me see this. I don't think this Variety article gives his name. It talks about the guy who played Steppenwolf, Ciaran Hinds.
Yeah.
It doesn't say anything about who played. I said Ray Porter was originally attached to play the segments of the Justice League. Okay, there we go. So yeah. So now, I think personally. Oh well, okay. Let's talk about the minor changes.
Okay, so this was kind of one of my issues with the Snyder Cut from the get-go. Was I had heard a report a while back saying that to complete his version of the movie would cost around $20 million.
Mm-hmm.
So my first thought is going back to the Richard Donner cut of Superman 2, where you have a beloved movie and director, and they did not give him the money to properly finish that movie. It's a great movie. It's a great cut of that film. It's a better version than the theatrical we got.
Mm-hmm.
But some of the effects are janky, and that's just that was what they did. So that was kind of always my thought with the Snyder cut of this movie is, are they going to have the money to do this?
Right.
Now reports are coming out that they're sinking at least $30
million, right.
So that tells me that it's not as done as everyone says it is, first off. They're talking about having the actors come back and record new lines and things like that.
Well, if that happens, then that's going to make it much more of a finished film, and
Exactly.
I think that is going to actually make it be potentially really, really good.
Exactly, and that was always my thing. I was kind of a bit down on them actually producing this because what's the quality we're going to get?
Mm-hmm.
But if they're that serious about it, and if they're sinking that kind of money into it, we may get a better movie.
Yeah, and I love the idea of a 3.5-hour Justice League movie.
Yeah, I've said from the beginning I'd be fine with a 3-hour-long Justice movie.
Mm-hmm.
We hadn't got a Justice League movie before this, and you have a lot of setup to do.
Yep.
I think it was an issue of Warner Brothers wanted more showings, so they wanted a shorter movie.
Right.
But
well, yeah. This is what is nice about streaming and even like a Blu-ray. I hope we get a Blu-ray release or 4K release of this eventually, because I don't have HBO Max. I don't necessarily plan to pick up HBO Max. If I do, it's gonna be, I'll do like the 1-week trial and watch this and then probably be done. But if this hits 4K, then I'm absolutely gonna buy physical media of this.
Well, side note to that, HBO Max launched today as we're recording this. I got it. I've been on it all morning, basically, kind of checking out and watching stuff. And again, I don't want to get too into this. This is launch day. It's a little buggy.
Right.
And it's first day, so I don't think it's fair to kind of go into that right now.
No.
But from what I'm seeing, nothing on here is 4K.
Oh.
And again, that's maybe like a launch day thing, but everything's 1080p right now. So hopefully we would get a 4K version of Justice League, and hopefully that will be the case by the time this comes out. But
yes,
today that's the situation with HBO Max. And again, that may change tomorrow. Who knows?
Right.
But just right now, that's where we're at. And I've heard there's discussions too about, will this be a movie or will this be like maybe they play it out like a miniseries?
Oh, I hadn't even thought about that.
Which I'm like, I don't know how. I mean, I feel like if it's streaming, why not just do it as one big chunk?
Yeah.
That's an issue with servers and buffering and that kind of thing. I'm not sure. But you're going to be watching it. You're going to be binging it anyway if they release it as a miniseries, unless they stretch it out to a chapter a week or something like that.
Like they did, Watchmen. I could totally see them doing that, like they did Watchmen once per week. So they get, what if they did half-hour chunks and they'd get 10.
Oh boy.
Oh, let's see, 2, 6, 7. They get 7
Yeah.
7 to 8 episodes, probably 7, episodes at half-hour chunks.
I don't want that.
Yeah. It was nice watching Watchmen and having that anticipation, of the next episode.
I'll give you that, but again, Watchmen was a TV show.
Right. Yeah.
This is a motion picture.
Yes.
No.
It is a little different. So.
I mean, Watchmen was structured for the sort of cliffhanger, episodic nature of television. Justice League originally was not.
No.
So I think they'd really have to work that in. And that could be awkward.
Yeah. There'd be some hard, odd breaks in a movie, if they were breaking it down. It's just like, commercial breaks for a movie. So.
I don't. Going back to the quote about his original vision, I doubt it. I think we're not going to get what we would have got a couple years ago from Zack Snyder. I think we're going to end up getting Justice League the Special Edition.
Right, I think so too.
They're going to take criticisms and the performance of the movie into account. What people complained about, what they didn't like, what worked. I think we will get a best case scenario for this film. But I don't think we're not going back in time with this.
No, you're right. But I think having the hindsight could actually end up making a better movie.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's a shame that we're past the point for me of pulling Ezra Miller and Jason Momoa out of the film. I don't think we're going to cut all their scenes.
I know. Yeah, that was my thing about Ezra Miller being on Crisis. It's just like, man, that just really solidifies him more as the Flash. I kind of want
Yeah,
somebody else at this
I
point.
do too. So, and it sounds like there's going to be a lot more because they talked about adding Iris West as one of the characters.
Yeah. So yeah, probably some more Flash scenes.
Hmm.
I thought there. Oh, I can't remember. Yeah, so I thought there was some more deleted stuff with Cyborg apparently too.
Well, I just kind of hit some of the highlights on that
Yeah,
page.
but this might be I might be remembering something wrong, or it might have been a rumor I heard. At this point, there's no separating fact from fiction with something.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's all basically rumor except for like a hand that it's going to happen, and we do have a couple of extra screenshots now. So it would be nice to know how much actual pre-production or post-production was actually done of the
Yeah,
214 minutes. But if they're going to turn loose the $30 million, I think they can come up with a pretty finished
and
product.
I saw. Oh man, I can't think of who it was now. I saw an interview with like one of the executives working on this, and he's talking about like all the other stuff people don't realize they have to go through. And from what he's saying, it sounds like 30 million might be the low point of this.
Okay.
That
Well,
it
because like it already has jumped from 20 to 30, because initially
Yeah,
it was 20 million and now it's already 30 million.
yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah.
But again, I think in the studio's point of view, it's also an issue of righting the ship. For
Yep.
their movie universe they wanted to do. I think they see a way to sort of recontextualize this movie for people.
Hmm.
There was a rumor a couple years ago that Joel Schumacher was having meetings with DC, and that he was going. I think it was one of the artists from the book was going to be doing like a mini series with him as sort of a director's cut adaptation of Batman Forever and maybe Batman and Robin.
Okay.
And I think that's what the idea was with that too. Was that like, hey, these movies that people aren't crazy about, maybe we can show you sort of a different version of it,
Hmm.
kind of get you behind these movies that they have in their catalog, you know. And so I think I think we'd have a similar thing going here with this.
Yep. Yeah. Well,
You know, 'cause,
I'm psyched for it now. So
yeah, I've been pretty dubious about it since it's the campaign started to get this made. My other thing was like, I will watch this day one.
I will watch it as soon as I can. That's for sure. So
But my thing is, I've gotten to the point where I got to the point where I didn't want this to come out. First off, just because of expectations at this
yeah.
point. Is it going to live up to what everybody wants it to be? Probably not. Just realistically. And then
Well, as poorly as the movie was received, I can't imagine that it's going to be received less poorly than the original version, the theatrical version. So I think it's going to have to be a step up.
yeah. The other part of that is though too, is the people fighting to get this made have been so obnoxious for years that I can't get on a comment about anything without seeing 5 release the Snyder cuts, whether or not it has anything to do with what the conversation's about.
Yeah,
That I'm
exactly.
to the point where I didn't want it to happen just out of spite for them. That I'm just like sick of hearing about it. Hopefully it comes out and it's great.
Yeah.
Good. But man, I'm so sick of these hashtags.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm not a fan of all that. But I'm always like in favor of like a director's cut of films.
Right.
I mean, like even like the Green Lantern director's cut, I thought was a definite improvement over the theatrical version. Batman v Superman, the director's cut was better. There, I haven't even watched, other than when I actually was in the theater, watched the non-theatrical version of that. So I like that. Um, Blade Runner was another good example of that, where you get another, director's cut. So I'm big.
Another 6 cuts of that movie.
What's that?
Another 6 cuts of that movie.
Yeah. But one thing about it for me is that it's crazy how divided people are about Zack Snyder. And like, so I went on IMDb, and just kind of pulled up the list of his movies, and really, I guess the first big movie was in 2004 with Dawn of the Dead, which I think I have seen. But then he had like 300 and then Watchmen. So, I mean, 300 I thought was a pretty faithful adaptation of the comic.
Yeah.
Watchmen I thought was a very faithful adaptation of the comic, and I thought that the modified ending, which a lot of people didn't like, made sense for the movie audience that wouldn't, whereas the comic book ending wouldn't necessarily make sense for that same audience.
Well, you have to have a whole other subplot to get to the comic book ending.
Yeah,
On an already long movie.
Yes.
And you got an animated version of the pirate sections.
Right.
I hear everyone complaining about the adaptation of not being faithful. You know what I mean? You got more than you could have asked for from any other studio.
Exactly.
Filmmaker. No one else would have done that.
Yeah. And then Sucker Punch, which that was an anime adaptation. So I mean, it was okay, but I couldn't get into it. But then probably the big one that I guess is the most dividing for people was Man of Steel in 2013.
Right.
So I strongly still feel that is the strongest of the modern Superman movies. And I'll take that over the Christopher Reeve and the Brandon Routh versions. I guess you can make an argument for the really, really old school black and white Superman, serials and stuff like that. But that is absolutely my favorite movie version of the character. I know a lot of people describe the ending as disaster porn, but it's like, if you have people at that power level, I mean, it's not like there's not going to be some damage occurring.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, and then Justice League, which again he didn't get to finish, and he really hasn't done much because he has a couple of movies that are post production and announced, and there's some shorts, but he hasn't actually done anything. Since the portion he did with Justice League, and that was back in 2017. So we're going to be 4 years without a film, but the ones that he's released, I generally view positively, and some of them very positively.
Right. Yeah. No, 300 is great. Like I don't know anything like that version of 300. You know what I mean? But yeah, and it's like, and the other thing with Man of Steel is I can go back and forth on that one, but it does feel like if you sit down and look at it, I think it is an issue of editing and tone, with that. And again, maybe part of this is, another editor needs to come in or something, with some of that. But, and it's also a thing of like not having a Superman film for so long.
Right.
Before that, and then people have in their mind what Superman is and what they expect, and like, still Christopher Reeves casts a long shadow.
Yeah, but I tell you what, I'm Cavill's my favorite. I mean, hands down. I think the only thing I might like better than that are the Max Fleischer animated, cartoons, Superman wise. That might be the only thing that if I had to pick one, that would be the only one that would be close to me.
I've watched a few of those since I've been home too.
Oh, I haven't watched them in a long time, but we actually had them on DVD, so we used to watch them periodically. So
yeah, well, they're on DC Universe if you want to.
Oh, okay. I haven't made the plunge on that yet, so.
Hold up. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out, what form it takes. If it's better, I'm sure we'll talk about it when it comes out.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But that's going to be a little while because I'm trying to remember what the release date. It's going to be next year. At the earliest, right? And then
I don't think that they've set an official date.
No, but I don't. Yeah, I was looking through this Variety article again and see if they had said anything, and I don't. The recut film will debut on HBO Max in 2021 is all they're saying on the Variety website as well. So, all right. I don't know. Anything else you want to? I mean, have we covered that? You feel like?
I think so. Unless there's anything else you wanted to bring up with that, I feel like. No. I mean, there's not much more news than that right now. Anything speculation. And
other than say, I'm a Snyder fan. I'm still on Snyder's side on this, so I'm looking forward to it. So.
Yeah, I wasn't too crazy about it at first, but hearing that they're getting that serious about finishing up, it's like I'll definitely give it a chance.
Yeah, and this could really jumpstart DC's movie universe. So if they can pull it off, it could be good. So.
Well, the other thing too is now what people are bringing up.
Okay.
And what I kind of do want to see is David Ayer's cut of Suicide Squad.
Oh,
because
well.
Again, They took the film from him and recut it after the success of the trailer. And so he has said that, yes, my version, I finished it. Like, there's not even a budget needed to redo this. It's out there. And so people are calling to release the Ayers cut now.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I would be interested in seeing that, because he did Training Day and some other really good movies. Like End of Watch was his. So I would kind of like to see his version of this movie too.
I would too, because I felt like whatever, I guess I didn't realize that there was a separate cut of that until I started seeing those, those hashtags on Twitter as well. And because that movie, all it turned into was, hey, let's make Guardians of the Galaxy, and right. I would have so if that is the case, I would absolutely be in favor of that. So yeah, I would like to see that as well. But I think it's great I like having multiple options, of all these films, a longer and a shorter version. So
yeah. And like, there already is an extended cut of that they have released, and I watched that. Like, I feel like that is a better movie.
Okay, I didn't realize that. So
yeah, and it's like I'll just kind of turn that on when I'm doing stuff around the house and things like that. So that's probably the one of these modern DC movies I've watched the most.
Really? So I've only seen it the one time in the show.
Yeah. No, I think I like the extended cut. I think it's worth watching. I am definitely interested in the director's original cut though of that, to see what that was. And again, he's gone on record. Jared Leto has too, of saying there's a lot of Joker they cut out of that. He has a lot more footage of Joker.
Oh wow, okay.
In that version, and then I think there was some other stuff too that's coming out now with all that. But yeah.
Well, I'd be for that.
They need content for their streaming service. I mean, I think if this is just sitting on a shelf somewhere, presumably.
Yeah, it'd be zero extra cost for them to add that in. They could run them side by side.
And it's like, and if Justice League does well, why not be like, hey, we got this for you too.
Of course, this could create a new precedent where it's like, hey, we have our theatrical release, and then on the streaming service, we have the, hour-long extra.
Well, it looked like that's what they were doing with the DVDs for a while.
Yeah.
I kind of wondered if that was going to be their thing with these movies, because I don't know if they did with Man of Steel, but they did it with Batman, Superman, and they did with Suicide Squad. And so it started looking like, okay, so are we getting like longer cuts for, home release? And I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Well, I think it's just a matter on the Blu-rays. They just patch in. It's like you're watching the extended cut. Okay, here we jump to this portion of the disc, and then we, come back. So it's not really a whole lot of extra production costs or anything.
Having said that, though, put your best forward for the theatrical version too. I don't want to be paying $15 to see half a movie either.
Yeah.
That's the other part of
that. It's like whenever you, from the thing I run into is like you buy a game like on Xbox or whatever, and you get to some portion where it's like, oh, if you want to go into this level, then, buy the DLC. It's like, if you'd had the foresight to put that there, then that should have been included in the original game, Yeah.
Yeah. Good times.
Yep. So, all right. Are we done?
I think so. You got anything else you want to bring up? Or?
No, that's kind of what we plan on talking about. And for people listening, we're doing something a little bit different with this episode. We're actually recording through Skype. So Mike Atchison, when you listen to this, there may be hope. So we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, definitely want to get some more people back on here.
Yeah, and if it goes okay, then we'll we might continue. We might do this for the future. We'll just see, how the audio sounds mixed together, because I'm sure I'm going to be louder than everybody else since I'm, sitting at the machine that's doing the recording. So, and I know, I definitely am loud enough without being louder by, by default being on that machine. So, we'll see how that goes. So if you got any feedback on how it sounds, we do have a Facebook fan page for the podcast now. Just search for Campus Comics Cast. And you can find and like us there. So Dan, if people want to track you down, where should they do that at?
You can do that online at Detective651 on Twitter and Instagram, and on my TeePublic store, or Saturdays at Campus Comics.
All right. And then Scott Reed, you can find me at burgcomics.com, burgcomics.com, and I'm also on Facebook and Instagram and eBay, so you can check and see what I have for sale, and eventually we'll maybe have some comic convention announcements in the future. So
fingers crossed.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, I guess that's it.
Okay. We'll see you next time.
Okay, I'm not recording anymore.
All right.
It should. Well, wait a minute. No, I am still.